Hello boys and girls, it is Duckville here bringing you some StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. Today we're going to look at a Protoss vs Zerg. It's been a theme of the replays that I've been doing recently. I don't know if that's not intentional, it just seems to happen that way. I seem to find some replays that are pretty good with Protoss and Zerg in them. Who knows, maybe it's just because the other matchups are boring or something. I don't really know. I find this matchup really cool. But anyway, let's talk about our players that we have here on Newkirk Precinct, the new edition, the cooler edition. We'll talk about why it's a little bit different if you're sort of unaware of why this is different to the normal one in a second. But let's introduce our players. Starting down on the bottom right hand side, he is a very, very formidable Protoss player who loves to throw in some shenanigans every now and then. We are, of course, speaking of Root Gaming's Puck. Now, shenanigans, I mentioned, some of you may be aware that it's not actually exclusive, like sort of massively well known that Puck likes to throw about some crazy builds from time to time, particularly the old Colossus in the Prism build, which does come about from for every now and then. And I think I actually got to cast a couple that Puck was doing a little while ago during the CNA trials that we had a couple of weekends back. It was really funny to see that all build. I'm sure with the changes to Warp Prism, Puck was very happy with that that change that came through with their little bit of a speed boost. But his opponent over on the bottom left-hand side of Newkirk is, well, he's a Zerg player from the C region, of course. As many people will know, we have lots of C players who play the old Zerg. And this one in particular is from the New Zealand region. He is, of course, playing for Team Iris. We are speaking of MightyKiwi. Now, MightyKiwi is well known down here in the C region for 10 pool Banes. I'm sorry I had to mention it, but it's well known for a bit of 10 pool Bane action. But as we can see, obviously you can't really do that kind of strategy in Zerg versus Protoss. So we'll see what he gets up to here today. So this map, we just mentioned briefly the fact that there are some changes to it. If you're not exactly aware of what was going on, of course, with the older version of this map, your mineral line was actually just sort of around this sort of position here, and then the gas would sort of sit just off to the side like that, if I remember correctly. So it was a little bit further off to the side. Like your base would be a little bit more centralized around this region. There was obviously a lot of airspace down the back because for some reason people like to grow minerals on top of their buildings and have gas coming out the top as well. I suppose they could be chimneys. That makes sense. All right, we're all good with that. But anyway, so that changed just a little bit. Just the actual layout of the main base is just slightly different. There's not as like a glaring amount of space on the left hand side, or as an example here in this base. So that's a small difference that we do have on this map in this particular version. There is also now some a cooling tower or a destructible rock tower that drops down the minerals on top of this this little ramp here. So it does give you a little bit of a way to fortify a third base if you were to take your third base over here. The other difference is that this is still here, this is all the same, but now there is a ramp on the left-hand side. So it's no longer a situation of, if we were to have a quick look at the minimap, I'll try and draw it on the minimap, it's no longer a situation where you have, you know, well, that's a really bad color for that. We'll go back to white. It's no longer a situation of you have this base, and then this base, and for very turtle-y sort of situations, you take this, and effectively, this whole corner of the map is you know, this sort of triangle is your corner of the map, and it sort of leads to very turtle-y situations. So I've tried to open it up by exposing this ramp here. Of course, the majority of the rest of the map is the same with all these bases across the side. No Xel'Naga watchtowers through the middle, because of course in high-level gaming, we seemingly don't like Xel'Naga watchtowers that much. I seem to see that they always get removed when it comes to these high-level changes to maps, the tournament editions of maps. But yeah, so that's sort of your tour of Newkirk Precinct, redevelopment precinct, did they call it? Is that the one they use in Kesper? I think it is. But anyway, we'll have a look at what's going on. MightyKiwi has expanded up towards the top left-hand side after being blocked by a pylon down here at the natural. So he does finally get this natural hatchery up at the sort of the standard normal hatchery has finished up there, and we'll get started with some production. Did a bit of nice micro because I think we had a couple of units battling about in the middle there. Just a few Lings and a Zealot, so not really too much going on. But Puck has taken both of the gases down at the natural and also inside the main. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on here from the Root Gaming Protoss. We've got one Robo already done. A second gate is also in construction as well. We can see that there haven't been any upgrades coming out of the Forge just as of yet. I'm a little bit surprised about that. Lots of gas coming. There you go. Alright, so +1 to the ground weapons has started up for Puck. We got a Chrono Boost on that as well. We can see that Warp Gate is on the way, and with another sentry out, should be relatively well protected here at the front door of the Naturals. So MightyKiwi, he's fine to drone up for the moment. He's up to a total of 42 with some more just popping out now as well. Roach Warren, relatively nicely timed there just to make sure that he does have the option to get some roaches out. Then we see the lair get started shortly after that as well. And it looks like MightyKiwi just playing very, very standard. Not playing too risky at all because we don't have a massive amount of drones, but, you know, it's not, nor do we have like a fast fourth or anything wild like that. So playing a very nice, standard, safe style is the Kiwi Zerg player. We can see now the Puck's going to throw down a huge amount of gates, so we're going to have 7 gates out in total. That is a ridiculous amount to deal with here. So we've got a lot of gas built up. A little bit surprised about all this gas that's available here for Puck. I'm sort of trying to figure out what's going on. We're going to see some sentries be warped in somewhere, or perhaps I'm sure some of you will remember a very old school tactic using sentries to block off a mineral line. You could drop down and you know, throw in some force fields across on the side here and just try and keep the drones trapped in this area. That's something which you don't get to see too often anymore, but it is something which can certainly do some damage in the right hands. And Puck, as I mentioned, is not one to you know, to sort of be surprising when it comes to tomfoolery, as it were. So Puck does warp in a couple of zealots. So the Overlord here actually should have seen what was going on. So MightyKiwi does prepare by getting a huge amount of Lings prepared. The Link speed is actually just about to finish up, so that's going to be very nicely timed. A few more zealots up on the top side of the map are also going to come through and attack into this third base. So we'll see what this Prism is going to be able to get up to here. Just hiding off to the side, is in vision range of the units of MightyKiwi and the buildings there, but it looks like the Ling's going to try and have to decide where to run to, because lots of zealots up the top. They've got their +1 now just coming through, going to go straight to town on that hatchery. He's not bothering with any of these other units or buildings here, just going straight to work on that. The Warp Prism, meanwhile, providing a large distraction across on at the natural base here. So it looks like Puck is just using this purely for a little bit of a distraction while he kills off the third base, and has done that beautifully. And now, as we can see, a couple of zealots also going to come through inside the natural base, getting a kill on a queen there. Very nicely done by Puck. And, you know, this has been quite a successful journey for Puck, coming across the map here with all of these zealots and these kinds of things. Is eventually going to get cleaned up and pushed out, but I mean, he's taken out a third base hatchery. We saw there was a queen that went down at the natural as well, and it looks as if the Prism is not done yet. We can see now that the Prism is still just floating about, just being really, really annoying here, and Puck is just going to continue to just sort of threaten, just sort of sit off the side here and posture that he may come through. So the 4 zealots now going to jump out inside the main base with the 4 queens there as well, picks up the zealots and gets out of there yet again. We can see back at home for Puck, Templar Archives on the way, a third base as well. And now a lot of zealots also coming through, and you know, +1 zealots against that many zealots, that is, against a huge amount of Lings. This is going to be a little bit of an interesting battle as Puck just absolutely slaughters all of those Zerg units, picks up 4, gets out of there with a few more of those zealots, and it keeps them alive to fight another day. So this has been quite frustrating for MightyKiwi to deal with. He does have, you know, there is an economy backbone here, but I mean, it's only 53 drones, so it's not exactly a huge amount. It's just a very sort of small, sort of 2 base, sort of leading up to 3 base sort of backbone here that he has to work with. So this is really going to put MightyKiwi to the test here with, again, the Zealous dropping out, trying to kill off one of these queens. Is he going to be able to kill? Ooh, a little bit too close for comfort there. And the Warp Prism does finally go down. So MightyKiwi now says, alright, I can breathe a sigh of relief, and you know what we're going to do is we're going to try and get some mutas out, and we'll see what damage they can get done. But I think Puck is well prepared for that. Yeah, 3 Stargates are now on the way, some Stalkers warping inside the main base. Blink is also on the way, and with some cannons protecting the third base, it looks like Puck is going to be relatively secure here, at least for the first wave of these prawns in the sky. The prawns with wings, as I like to call them. So Puck actually, yeah, really nicely done. Fends that off. The Mutas will escape to fight another day, but it looks as if they have taken quite a bit of damage. Will be forced to wait outside for the time being. MightyKiwi takes a 4th base. Probably, I would kind of expect him to take a 5th base very, very quickly here, just due to the fact he's going to spot what's going on, sees the 3rd base. We'll know that Puck's going to be investing quite a lot into getting some anti-Muta forces out, but I mean, that sort of gives MightyKiwi a little bit of time to establish his economy, and as you can see, he's up to 63 drones. We got a couple more just popping out. Roach is also on the way, and he's just sort of making sure that he's again, he's not going to go too risky and take too many bases at a time, but is going to have that the economy that he needs to continue on in this game. So the Mutas come through the backside of the main base, taking out a couple of the probes. They're not too badly done. I mean, that's 6 probes just that have been removed from Puck's economy there, and we can see that, you know, he's just going to sit out the side, just get prepared for a possible counter push, because as we can see, Puck has found out what's going on. So Roach is now approaching the 3rd base. Beautiful force fields going up from Puck there. Captures a couple of those Roaches like Pokemon in a Pokeball. And the Archons and Immortals are here to protect this base. So I doubt we're going to see anything work here from MightyKiwi. He's going to have to just try and sit off to the side, pressure a little bit, and then just see if he can figure out a way to get some damage done and just sort of slow Puck down, because at this stage Puck is now sitting on 64 probes with 3 bases, and as anyone knows, a Protoss player on 3 bases does start to get very scary. You get to see things like these Void Rays start to pop out, and you know, we may even start to see the Colossi as well. I'm thinking that based on the fact that Puck has seen that there's just purely a lot of Roaches on the map, that Puck might want to stick with a much more sort of standard force. But there are now Hydras out. MightyKiwi has gotten those big boys out, and they're going to see what kind of damage they can get done, because they will be, you know, they're getting up some of their upgrades. They've got their muscular augments has now been completed. They are going to try and take down some of the Phoenix, getting rid of a couple of them there, but Puck, very good with his micro, is able to keep some of the Phoenix alive, but not for long, it seems, diving in to try and take out one of the Mutas that was on very low health. It looks as if Puck did lose one of the Phoenix. In fact, all the Phoenix is going to go down. So that's a nice little capture yet again for MightyKiwi there. It gives him the option of saying, alright, well, you know, there's a possibility if I can bank up enough gas that I could make a switch back into Mutalisk again and just try and catch the Protoss player off guard. But Puck, as always, is very diligent with scouting and all these kinds of things. We can see that we've got a couple of observers out. Both players are doing quite well with their scouting. A Roach, you know, an Overlord here and there, and we can see that there are just lots of, you know, lots of reasons that these players will know what's going on. So we can see the Puck is now moving into that much more stylized kind of Void Ray based play here that has made its mark in Heart of the Swarm, and now going to look to take a 4th base while he pushes forward, but I'm not too sure how this is going to go. There's a lot of Hydras here. We'll see though, because there are quite a lot of units down on the ground for Puck as well. With some brilliant force fields as predicted, there you go. They are able to lock out quite a lot of the units, and Puck is actually going to destroy quite a lot of the Zerg forces here. I think MightyKiwi just has enough to hold on. It looks as if with the units coming in from the back, the Roach is tanking at the front, some of the Hydra still alive there, and some of the others there. Looks like MightyKiwi will just defend this, but you know, that was a pretty interesting battle. I thought that could have gone either way for quite a lot of the time, but unfortunately, Puck without too much splash damage is going to have a very hard time dealing with the large amounts of Hydras that are starting to form on the map right now. And as you can see, MightyKiwi is going to counterattack. He's wanting to kill off this 4th base. If MightyKiwi doesn't kill the 4th here, this is all going to be trouble town for the Zerg players. So we'll see what happens here as the Roaches and the Hydras come through. Lots of Zealots at the front. Their charge is done, +2 to weapons as well for them. The Hydras and the Roaches, meanwhile, do have 1-1, so they're not exactly in the best upgrade position themselves, but it looks as if with a small force there defending that base, Puck will be okay to keep the 4th alive. So the planetary fortress cannon killer thingy is all active and is going to be tearing up quite a lot of the units that get too close for comfort. And meanwhile, +1 to shields is going up for Puck. I'm a little bit surprised about that choice there. A lot of players do like to get shields once you have +2 armor, because I believe, if I remember correctly, if it's the same as Brood War, the effectiveness of +1 shields is a little bit more cost effective compared to +3 armor. But as you can see, speaking of effectiveness, holy moly, Puck coming across with a Warp Prism, gets some damage done with some Zealots, takes out the Hydralisk Den, and trying to yank them back across. Will MightyKiwi be able to take out the Prism? Looks like it's a no. Puck does escape for the moment, and that was that was a really clutch maneuver there from MightyKiwi to try and take out the Prism, but it looks like with the Prism just sitting idly by, it is easily picked off by the Hydras. So we can see the situation basically right now is that our Protoss player is sitting in a very, very comfortable position. Triple Stargates up. I would love to see okay, so we do have Templar Archives with Stormfleet. Bacon is prepared as well if the need arises for some Tempest. Upgrades still coming up. +1 to air weapons as well is also on the way from Puck. So he's going to have just a fantastic position right here, just purely because the economy is here. We've got 75 probes up and running, bringing in around about 2,000 minerals a minute, 800 gas a minute. All these things lead to a very happy Protoss player. For our Zerg, of course, we can see the upgrades are still slowly coming about for the New Zealand player here. Got 2-2 on the missile and carapace. There are a couple of Vipers up in the sky as well, and with, 5 bases up and running, it's not too bad, but I mean, you still got to compare this to a Protoss player who is currently sitting on 4 and almost 5 bases himself. But here we go, lots of Void Rays up there, and we'll have to see if the Storms can be a big factor here. Huge spread coming in from MightyKiwi. He's coming in from all angles. He's like the Raptors in Jurassic Park, and he does come across, get some really good damage done, but the Storms and the Void Rays are incredibly powerful here. It looks as if Puck is going to hold this back, but I think that that word again is going to come up just barely. Is Puck going to hold this? I think it's probably actually going to be the Nexus that is going to defend this here, or in fact maybe not, but the couple of Void Rays now up in the air are going to help out. Will they be able to take down the units before the Nexus goes down? I don't think so. MightyKiwi, can he take the Nexus? He does, and that goes down, and that is a really nice little victory for the Zerg player here. Of course, these units are going to get picked off right now, but a huge amount of Hydras have just been built. Their 3-3 is actually just about to complete, and if these guys can get in here, the Protoss army has been absolutely decimated. We can see that Puck is now just down to a total of 3 Void Rays, 4 High Templar, and, they're going to switch over into some Archons, but unfortunately, these cotton balls at the front line are not what you want as a Protoss player. So Puck is actually, despite having all the economy there, it's just a situation where we don't see enough production, unfortunately, for Puck. And with all those minerals gone, it is going to be a very, very tough ask here. With so many Hydras now making their way across the map, we can see that MightyKiwi is himself a little bit invested in this attack. It has to do a lot of damage, but I think that the likelihood here is that it certainly is. Given that these Hydras have now got their 3-3, they are extremely strong, even against these Zealots that are now charging through. Their 0-1-3 is a little bit of a tough question for them to be able to deal with all of these Hydras, and with more units slowly streaming across the map, Roaches coming through. There are also, I believe, some extra Lings that were thrown in. Yeah, there's some of the Lings already at the front line, and MightyKiwi is going to be able to go to town on the production facilities of Puck. So many gates inside the main. The Stargate's there. Some of the tech is here as well. And it is going to be very, very tough for the Root Gaming Protoss to be able to bring this one back. Sitting up at 121 supply against a 198 Zerg, and here we go. A couple of Storms may be available. Yeah, just a time. One Storm, I think, is there, and Puck does throw it down on top of some Hydra, some Roaches, getting a lot of damage on top of them, but there is just too much. Heart of the Swarm is here, and the Hydras are going to go to town on everything left over, even these Void Rays. I don't think they can save the day here. Targeting them down with the Hydras, very nicely done by MightyKiwi, and that is probably a win right there for the New Zealand Zerg player, with the Hydra slowly getting whittled down. I think Puck is trying to make a little bit of a battle here, but it is unfortunately not going to help out too much. But MightyKiwi, he's got the production back at home. His economy, again, it was in a questionable state for quite a while, but now it is exactly where he wants it to be. Viper's coming out, Hydra's coming too. Everyone is coming to the party across on the eastern side of New Kirk. We've got some Ultras that have now been added into the mix, and despite a couple of warpins, some cannons that are here to protect the attempted 5th base of Puck, I don't think it is going to survive too long. A feedback or two, and Puck is gone. So, really interesting game. It's sort of, it looked very, very tense for quite a while for MightyKiwi, just with his economy just sort of a lot lower than you would normally want it to be, losing the 3rd base, losing a couple of queens every now and then losing some parts of his tech as well, but was able to keep everything steady, get those upgrades cranking for the Hydras, and even with a little bit of extra tech in there, the Ultras coming out right at the end, able to secure him a victory after the big battle that occurred outside of Puck's 4th base. So, thank you guys for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel, share with your friends as well. I'd love to, you know, if you want to pass on the love, a little bit of pay it forward action, pass it on to a friend, and also subscribe to my Facebook page, or like the Facebook page as it were. That is over on facebook.com/duckville.casting. Very standard and won't throw out crazy stuff too often. So we will see the 11-minute timing, the Mothership Core, going to have a quick look and see what she can find in there, but a couple of Marines will poke about and try and defend against that. So we can see that the stim is now on